Right, we are getting set up. Thank you so much for coming, Michelle. We are so excited to have GracePoint Publishing sponsor us this year at the 2026 Women Publishing Summit, and also to be here today to talk to us about a really interesting topic. Michelle Vandepas is one of our favorite people, so I'm very excited that she's here to chat with us. Michelle's going to do very casual, conversational kind of talk today. She has a lot to tell us, and we're just going to let that fly. If you have any questions that you want to share, just feel free to throw them in the chat, and Michelle will grab them, answer any questions that you have, and that'll sort of facilitate the conversation. I just want to make sure that you know exactly who we have here today. If you don't recognize Michelle, Michelle Vandepas is a publishing consultant, business strategist, and TEDx speaker who helps purpose-driven entrepreneurs and thought leaders bring their ideas to life. As co-founder of GracePoint Publishing, she has guided thousands of authors in aligning their message, mission, and business through more than 150 published books. With over 25 years of experience in entrepreneurship and conscious leadership, Michelle blends practical business strategy with soulful insight. Her signature philosophy, divine and dangerous, empowers individuals to lead boldly while staying grounded in authenticity and purpose. She teaches that true success isn't about endless hustle, it's about clarity, alignment, and courage. And Michelle's TEDx talk in honor of procrastination redefines procrastination as a sign of misalignment rather than failure, inspiring audiences to trust their timing and creativity. Known for her humor, warmth, and down-to-earth vision, she brings refreshing honesty to every stage of the conversation. And when she's not mentoring authors or speaking, Michelle enjoys life in the Colorado mountains with her family, 40 goldfish, and the occasional visiting bear. I love your bio. It's so great. And I love your message. So I'm really excited for you to talk to us today about the Frankfurt Book Fair. We talked a little bit about how it was an interesting experience for you, but I will turn it over to you and let you give us the details.
Yay, thank you. I'm so excited to be here yet again. I love women in publishing. I love Alexa and the team. So thank you all. And you're here from all over the world. Um, Germany and the Midwest, that could be anywhere. Maratis, I don't even know where that is. I've heard of it. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know where it is. Welcome. New York, Oregon, Washington, North Carolina, Canada, Annapolis, Nebraska, everywhere. I'm in Colorado Springs. I've been here, as I like to say, same house, same husband, 42 years. But the rest of my life has not at all been that even keeled. I'm in publishing, and publishing is up and down, up and down, up and down. So I've been doing my job one way or another for about 27 years now. And so that's a long time, and it has morphed a lot. For those of you who have been around a while, I started publishing on CreateSpace, like the beginnings of Amazon, right? Way back. But today I'm going to share with you my takeaways from the Frankfurt Book Fair, what that means for small publishers like myself, what that means for self-published authors. And I'm just going to pull back the curtain and tell you what I thought. I am one person, one publisher, amidst all the thousands of other people that were there. 300,000 people were there, I think, on the last day, right? So I'm one person, but I'm going to give you my experience through the filter of me as a publisher and as an author, both. And I'm going to go through that. I'm going to talk about foreign rights. I'm going to talk about AI. I'm going to talk about readership around the world. I'm going to talk about what's selling. I'm going to talk about marketing, and hopefully any questions you have. So if that's all sounds good, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I'm going to monitor the chat a little bit. I like to be a little interactive. Anyone who knows human design might, if you know that, I do well if I bounce off and I have some questions coming at me. So that's my design. All right. Hi, New Mexico, just down the street from me. All right. So I did go to the Frankfurt Book Fair. End of October, it feels like a year ago. I had never been before. I've been to really small book fairs and things and conferences, but I'd never been to the Frankfurt Book Fair. I believe it is the largest book fair in the world, but there may be one in Asia that's bigger, but it's the largest one in Europe and the US and Western world. 300,000 people, I believe, were there on the last day. And I'll start with the last day. The last day was a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds dressed up in various cosplay, going to book signings from fiction authors who had series of books in specific genres like zombie, werewolf, romance, and ET, extraterrestrials meet young woman and fall in love, like genres that I am not familiar with, but some of you may be, because I know some of you are fiction authors. And the lines to get books signed by these fiction authors in these specific genres were around the block, crazy. And so a few takeaways. Number one, fiction sells. People are reading fiction in all kinds of weird genres, what I would call weird. Do not take offense if you're writing in this genre, right? It's just not a genre I read. So maybe I will say niche genres, specific genres, very carved out genres for a specific audience. There were 300,000 people waiting to get their books signed. So what that tells me is people are still reading. People are reading fiction. If you're writing fiction, more power to you. It's a great time for fiction. And people are reading paperbacks. And in Europe, at least, reading is growing, not coming down, not decreasing. What I saw from my takeaway in Europe is more people are reading. I know there's some people, I think there were a couple people. I saw Germany and Turkey, not exactly Europe, I don't think, but let me know if you're finding that where you are, the person from Germany, if you've been to the Frankfurt Book Fair. So, my first takeaway was, oh my gosh, people are still reading. That's a cool takeaway, right? Because in the US, as a publisher, we're wondering if people are reading. Lots of people are writing books. Some are selling, some not so much. And, are people still reading? Are they just listening to audio? Are they just reading blog posts on Substack? Like, are they going in for deep dives? And so the short answer is yes, they are, especially fiction. So those of you who are fiction authors, that's more power to you. It's terrific. The other takeaway is not just in fiction, but fiction, nonfiction, everywhere. You've got to be in genre. So we have heard this over and over and over again. If you've been in any previous Women in Publishing summits, or you've been researching publishing or researching writing in the last few years, everyone says you got to niche down more and more carefully into your genre. And that is true. And that's more than ever. So I get a lot of authors who come to me and say, I'm writing a memoir that's also self-help, that's also spiritual, and I'm going to throw in a few stories in there and have some interesting stories that I'm making up that are fiction. And I'd like to put my parenting style in there. And I'm like, it doesn't work anymore, right? It may be an interesting read, but it's difficult to market. It's difficult to understand who your audience is if you're in a genre that's just all over the place. And so this just confirmed to me, walking around Frankfurt, talking with other publishers, talking with distributors, that being really dialed into your genre is more important than ever. So a lot of my takeaways from Frankfurt were really confirmations for me. And this may be new information for you, not new information for you, but it's worth just knowing that this is still true. So I'd be interested in here, how many people here, if you have already published a book, give me a thumbs up so I know you've already published. And I'm curious who I'm talking to here. And And then I'm curious how many of you write fiction? Yeah, lots of thumbs ups coming. Thank you. How many of you write fiction? So if you write fiction or nonfiction, stick it in the chat so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know Women in Publishing has a lot of fiction people. So the other thing that was my other big takeaway is so I went to Frankfurt specifically to sell foreign rights for our authors. We have about 250 authors, give or take. And I took all my authors in a portfolio, had appointments set up to sell foreign rights for my authors. And there were lots of foreign rights deals happening in Frankfurt. Lots of people selling foreign rights, lots of deals happening. And what I learned was that those deals, a lot of those were started the year before. It takes a while to get foreign rights. So if you're interested in selling your book in other languages, in publishers in other countries, it's a process and it takes a while. So I'm used to the USA, fast, fast, fast. Let's get stuff done. I'm going to go. I'm bringing my catalog. Let's do this. Let's sign some paperwork and let's make things happen. And Frankfurt was not that energy. Frankfurt was let's connect, let's get to know you, let's look through your catalog, let's read some ARC copies, let's get an idea of who you are and who your authors are, and let's come back around and see if we're going to sign some deals. So we did sign a couple deals since I've been home, but I have 20 more deals sort of waiting to see. So again, confirmation, not the whole world works as fast as people in the USA expect to work. Not good or bad, just different, right? I saw lots and lots and lots of children's books. So someone asked me about children's books in the chat here. Lots of children's picture books, a whole floor. So I don't know how, there were, I think, 5 floors. A floor might have been, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 60 or 100 booths. I don't really know. What was interesting to me is there were all these children's books, and I talked with an author today who has written 100 children's books, and some of her children's books have 500, 600, 800 reviews. So that's pretty good, right? Anyone else here have more than 500 reviews on a book, any book, fiction, nonfiction, anything? That's really tough. She's doing amazingly well, but she can't seem to get her books going in other countries and selling in other countries. I was fascinated, and I don't have an answer for this. I'm just sharing my takeaways, but I was fascinated. There were so many children's books there and so many publishers there looking to sell their books, their children's books in other countries. And I'm curious because I'm not sure a children's culture always resonates for mass market in other countries. So I asked some questions about that. I was saying, would our children's books translate to other countries? And I think some would and some won't. I think, the culture is sometimes different. And so it has to be written with that in mind, or it has to be translated with that in mind. So I don't have an answer about that, but there were lots of children's books there. I saw big publishers put hundreds of thousands of dollars into their booths, like HarperCollins, Amazon, Audible was there, Random House was there, and they would take up, a third of the floor with huge booths. And they were basically inviting people into their booth if you already had an appointment, which I found interesting. They were signing new authors. They were signing authors who already had sold a lot of books or had a big market. So the big publishers, again, confirmed to me, because this is what I had been kind of knowing intuitively for a number of years. They go after authors with big markets. So somebody on Facebook, Facebook, right? Somebody on Facebook about 2 months ago posted randomly, and I happened upon the post, said, I had a call with Michelle Vandepas saying I would never get my book published traditionally unless I had 100,000 people on social. Well, I would never say that. I would not come out and say that because number one, you might sit next to the CEO of Random House tomorrow and he loves you and your work, right? I mean, there are no yes or no's. People luck into stuff, people work hard, people meet the right people. There's all kinds of ways to get published. However, what I notice generally across the board is big publishers are signing people with big platforms, big social, big email list, a way to sell, a podcast with a lot of listeners, whether that's fiction or nonfiction or children or whatever it is. I saw lots of new authors being signed, but they're being signed because they have a big platform. Publishing is a business, just like anything else. The publisher wants to make money. Publisher has to make money to stay in business, right? So they're looking for the author to sell books. I went to Frankfurt with a couple of my authors, and we were looking for specific help to some new ideas to sell books, some new ideas to get my two authors out there selling more books than they're selling now. And over again, we heard from distribution and from publishers, the author has to get out there. And if you've heard me on previous years with Women in Publishing, you've heard me say the publisher can do a lot to help market, but the author has to get out there and also help market because readers like to connect with the author. Or that's how the author is going to break through, the book will break through the noise because the author has some social or has some social proof or gets picked up by someone on TikTok or has an email list. So again, all that was just kind of confirmed. I don't know that I love those answers. And I'm always looking for ways around and hacks and new ways of getting out there. And just like, what is it that we can do as a small publisher that's different than what the big publishers do? And how can we pivot more quickly? And how can we find those openings where the big publishers don't care, right? They're looking for slam dunks, they're looking for Michelle Obamas, and they're looking for, the really big names, either in entertainment or politics or whatever, where they know they're going to sell a lot of books. But we have some niche authors that sell 5,000, 10,000 books, which is a lot of books for most authors, right? And so I went really looking for where some alternative ideas. And so I'm going to go to some alternative ideas here in a minute. I just want to see if there's any questions so far because I've talked nonstop for about 20 minutes. All right. Amazon claim foreign trend AI will eliminate the need for foreign rights. Okay, so let's talk about Amazon for a minute. Amazon is not the only game in town. They do sell a lot of books. I've heard anywhere from 65 to 85% of the book market in the USA is on Amazon. Bookshop.org is another huge place that sells books. But through our distribution, we sell books to about 1,800 different places around the world, and Amazon's just one of those places. So let's first keep in mind that Amazon is just one place. Right now, they want to take over the world, right? We'll see if that happens. If you work with Amazon's AI, and I don't know the answer to this because it changes all the time, are you locked in to only selling on Amazon? So like Kindle Unlimited, if you sign up with Kindle Unlimited, you're locked into Amazon only for 90 days, right? We have played with AI and forms translation, and it gets you about 80% of the way there, maybe on some books. It depends on the book. If there's a lot of colloquialism or a lot of slang, it doesn't get you there at all. And we have found that we still have to invest quite a bit of money in a copy editor and a proofreader. We can't just take AI from Amazon or anywhere and just publish it. It's just not good enough. And so publishers in Germany and Ukraine and all the places we saw, India, and all the different places that I saw at the book fair, they're taking books and republishing them, right? They're going through their distribution, they're printing books, they're printing 500 or 5,000 copies of the book, getting them into bookstores. So translating using any AI foreign translation just gets it translated. It doesn't get you into distribution far and above Amazon. So I think, as with AI across the world and across all of our lives, the jury's out on a lot of this, right? There are people a lot smarter than me talking about AI and what works and what doesn't work. We're playing with it. We're playing with it. We're learning. We're trying to stay on top of the curve. We're not using it too much yet. So that's my answer. I don't think it's going to eliminate selling foreign rights because it doesn't get you published in the other country. It might get you on Amazon in another country. And that other country has to use Amazon to buy books, right? For those of us. So I'd be interested in the person from Turkey. Do you order from Amazon a lot? Do you order books from Amazon? Be interested in hearing that, because not every country uses Amazon like we do in the US and Canada. All right. Hybrids children's books for the adult social emotional learning. Yeah, so back to children's books. Children's books, need their own marketing path. And Alexa, who, started Women in Publishing, that's her jam. That's been her jam. That's been her expertise, is how do you market children's books. And she, has a whole children's press. If you can get into schools, if you can get into homeschooling, if you can get into learning environments, they're doing quite well, but you got to get into those places. All right. No, I did not have a booth. I walked around, walked 10,000 steps or more a day. All right. Would you want a traditional publisher if you have a big market? Deborah, what's a big market? Pop it in there. Is it 100,000 people, 60,000 people on social, on email? What a traditional publisher can do for you that self-publishing can't do is get you into all these independent bookstores and get you, it's credibility, right? It's a credibility piece of, if a Barnes and Noble regionally wants to pick you up, will they pick you up? And it's very difficult for self-published authors to get into bookstores. Yes, big publishers are signing. If you have big sales, traditional big publishers are signing if you either already have sales or have a big audience. Yes, so that's absolutely true. That's what they want. And yes, it can be beneficial. It depends what you're selling. If you're selling a business book off your website and your goal is to sell your books when you're speaking, if you're at speaking engagements, if you're doing your own conferences, if you're selling your book and you're hoping to get business like consulting, traditional publishing may or may not work for you unless you're Tony Robbins, right? Or Mel Robbins or any of the big coaches out there. May or may not work quite as well because you have a way to sell your books on your own website while you're speaking at conferences, those kinds of things. If you have a big audience and you're looking to get out to an even bigger audience than traditional distribution, I'm going to call it traditional distribution, not publishing, because publishing has all these layers, but distribution could still be important. All right. Hi, Lou. I don't know if I'm going next year yet. I'm going to talk about it at my retreat. So I do have a 5-day writing retreat. Anyone wants to come in January? I'm going to stick my phone number in here in the chat. So if you text me, I've got discounts for all kinds of things, including a small coupon to come write with me for 5 days in January in Colorado Springs, in the mountains outside of Colorado Springs. We're doing a deep dive retreat and love to have you. Okay. Many offset printers with booths. Yeah, hundreds of offset printers from all over the world. Absolutely. A whole floor of them. Yeah. Amazon for Turkey, not so much, rather buy local or regional, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. So if you live in Turkey, Amazon's probably your not go-to. And so I want you all to think bigger globally when looking to distribute your book. Hi, Lisa. Yes, book a call with me. Text me at the number I just put in, 719-527-1404, and we'll do a 20-minute call. And we'll see if GracePoint Publishing is a match for you. And if not, maybe I can send you elsewhere. So I'd love to talk with you. We specialize in nonfiction, spiritual nonfiction, but we publish everything. All right. Okay. Alternative ideas to marketing. So I don't know how alternative they are. We are finding that when you have a book and you want to market it, the number one thing you've got to get is reviews on Goodreads and Amazon. And as much as I have to say that out loud, because I have this love-hate relationship with Amazon, as you can imagine, reviews are the number one thing. We have found that unless you have about 50 reviews, it's not even really worth doing Amazon ads. Amazon ads can work really well. We run a lot of Amazon ads, work really well, but there has to be social proof already, either Goodreads, Amazon. So when people land on the page, they see it has reviews and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy this book. It's a little bit like you're in a new town, you're looking for a restaurant, the restaurant has one review, you're not likely to try it, right? So marketing comes down to a really great cover that resonates with people, that is really super clear what genre the book is in. We're just going back to basics here first, which means if you have a cover and the font looks like sci-fi, but it's a nonfiction book, and the rest of the cover looks nonfiction-y, I'm going to be confused as a reader. I'm not going to know visually what signals you're giving to me about what kind of book this is. And so the cover is the number one thing. The cover has to represent the genre of the book. Is this a book in a genre I read? Am I interested in this book? Then you've got to have a really good description. And you have to have really good metadata. What is metadata? It's all the keywords, the categories, the back-end stuff that goes to libraries, bookstores, in Amazon, everywhere for distribution. It's also what gets picked up on Google and elsewhere. So you got to have a great cover that's in genre. You got to have great metadata. The title matters, but not actually as much as those two things, in my experience. You got to have a good title, but the other two things matter even more. And a really good book description. So if I'm on Amazon or I'm on bookshop.org and I'm looking at your book page, it's got to be super clear what it is, and that it's easy to understand who your book is for. When you're writing your book description, you don't start with, hi, I'm Michelle and blah, 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 and this is me, this is me, this is me. No, it's why you should write the book. Hi, I'm Michelle. I've just published a book on why you should write your book, right? But even that is not it. Read this book if you're stuck writing your book. Within the first few chapters, you'll have 3 takeaways that will tell you exactly why you're stuck and how to get unstuck writing your book, right? It's got to be for the reader, not about me, not about the author. Okay, so when we're looking at alternative ideas to market a book, you got to make sure you have that stuff done first, because otherwise all the marketing in the world is not really going to help you, because people will go to the Amazon page or Bookshop or some other page on your website, and there's not going to be the resonance to buy your book. They're not going to know the book is for them. We're finding podcasting doesn't sell books, but it gives you so much visibility that if you can podcast, that is still working. We're finding that's still working for our authors. Getting out there, getting known to audiences outside of your audience in a bigger way. Facebook is not working to sell books right now. Sorry if people are having luck with that. We're not having luck with that. We are seeing some luck still, TikTok and Book Talk, but more than anything, if you can get an influencer to pick up your book, that's working. Podcasts are working. We're not finding press releases are really working to sell books, but press releases might get you noticed in your local community. So if you can do a press release that takes your book and ties it into something. So if you're writing a children's book, tie it into the holiday season, right? If you've written a children's book, tie it in as a gift to the holiday season. You've got to have some kind of relevant, timely tie-in, and then we're finding press releases work a little bit. Email lists work. That still works. And so if you have an email list, use it. Tell people to buy your book. We're finding giving away about 100 copies of an ebook, an ARC copy, works to help get reviews and get the word out. Sometimes it's hard to find 100 people to give your book to, especially who will leave reviews. But we're finding that is something that is still working. And so use a service, use NetGalley or Book Sirens or one of the services, and give away copies of your book. And specifically, you got to be careful how you ask for reviews. You can ask for reviews, but you can't ask for 5-star reviews. You can't bribe them for reviews. You just say, please, if you have some feedback, I'd love it if you'd leave a review, right? So we're doing review tours to get reviews up. That works. I wish I had some other things that, in-person stuff works, right? So we have several authors we have an author who wrote 20-something children's books, and he takes them to farmers markets in the summer and does a booth and sells his books, does really well. Farmers markets works, book fairs works, what used to be called metaphysical fairs, I don't know what they are now, but like healing fairs or those kinds of things work. Business fairs work. If you can get yourself in front of people, that still works. Book signings work, but you got to advertise the book signing. Bookstores may or may not advertise it. You have to usually do that work or work with your publisher to do that work. Book signings work. It is slow and steady. So if I go back to Frankfurt, and I met with quite a few distributors and other publishers there, it all came back to a slow and steady. You've just got to keep at it. Don't give up. Keep at it. Find another reason to market your book. Find another way to promote the book that's relevant to today, right? So many people give up after 3 months. It's like, oh man, but give yourself a month or two break and then pick it back up again. Get something going on autopilot, that's social media posting, email posting, get a book signing every 6 months if you can, and tie it into something relevant that's happening in the world, whether your book is nonfiction, fiction, cooking, it doesn't matter. Just find a tie-in and keep promoting it. That's what works. So a couple other things about Amazon, and I'll go back to questions again. I heard through somebody at Amazon, I find this really interesting. If you send people from your website to an Amazon link or give them an Amazon link and they buy a book, that's good, right? It's going to move you up the rankings and you'll sell a book. If you post on social media, like Instagram or TikTok, with a link to your book, Amazon's giving that sort of extra bunny points, extra bonus points, fluffy points is kind of out there in the etheric to push the algorithm more. And I heard this from someone who works inside Amazon, and I'm not sure this is public knowledge. I don't know. And what they're doing is they're trying to get more social reach to have people come to Amazon from social media platforms. They want to control the world. So if you post on social and send people to Amazon and they buy, it gives you more of an algorithm boost than if you post on your website or on an email list and post to Amazon. I don't know what you guys are going to do with that. I just find the whole thing frustrating. But there you have it. That's what I heard about Amazon. The other thing I heard that we know, excuse me, that's been happening with Amazon is gone are the days when you sold a whole pile of books in 48 hours and hit #1 bestseller. Some of that's still working, but Amazon has redone all their algorithms over this last summer. And now we're finding to hit bestseller status on Amazon, you have to have a good, slow, and steady burn over maybe a week or 2 weeks. They used to update algorithm and best-selling lists every hour. And now I think they're doing it once or twice a day. They won't say exactly, but we're in there looking, and it kind of looks like they're doing it once or twice a day. They're definitely not doing it every hour anymore. And so it's a little bit more slow and steady. It used to be if you sold a book right now, it would update in the bestseller status next hour. And now it's like maybe tomorrow it will update. So keep that in mind. Everything seems to be a little bit more organic and evened out, which I think in the long run will be a good thing. It means it's harder to manipulate the system with a 48-hour bestseller campaign. So in the long run, that's probably a good thing. It means that books that can stand the test of 2-3 weeks a month to sell and that are up for pre-order and sell some on pre-order will do better than just a mailing list to 24 hours. So if you've been doing that, you got to rethink that strategy a little bit. Okay, let's see what comments we have. Yeah, NetGalley. A review tour is when you give away your book. There are companies that do this, and we facilitate it. You give away your book to a company, and they send it out to maybe 100 readers or 1,000 readers and say, here's a book. If you're interested in reading this, we ask that you leave a review, and you pay for that service. Okay. Tracy says, yeah, okay. And they share the reviews on social as well. Absolutely. Okay, NetGalley, Book Funnel, Book Sirens, all of those. Good. All right. Any questions? The other things I want to talk about as we move forward is I'd like to talk a little bit, if you're interested in different kinds of publishing versus distribution. If you're interested in that, I can talk a little bit about marketing. Let me know. I think if you have more questions about Frankfurt, I think I've talked out about Frankfurt, unless you have more questions. There's 50 people here. Marketing is coolio. All right, Deborah, does our company Market books, yes. So let's talk a little bit about what a publishing company, from my perspective, usually does for marketing. And here's the caveat. Publishers are a little bit like the used car market, okay? There are really reputable big used car companies that are attached to like Ford or Lexus or Subaru or whatever, right? Um, and they have um, guarantees and all those kinds of things, right? And there are used car companies that are standalone and they have a lot. You can buy a used car on Craigslist. You can buy a used car from your neighbor. You can go to auction, right? Well, publishing is like that too. There are so many different ways to get your book published. We have traditional publishers, hybrid publishers, boutique publishers, self-publishing on Amazon, right? All of that. And so it's hard to say publishing is just this. So I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. And what we do is we are a hybrid publisher, but mostly what we charge for are editing services. That's mostly what we charge for. But we have traditional distribution. Okay. Traditional distribution means that we don't put every book through traditional distribution because not every book is worth all that extra expense and time. But if it goes through traditional distribution, it gets presented to bookstores and so forth. So some of you may know the word trade. Mandy, I'll explain distribution and publishing here. If you've heard the word trade, if people come from the old-fashioned trade publishing world, it means you sign an author and then you start working on the book, and in a year or 2 years from now, that book will get published. And it goes through all these steps in between, including presenting the book to bookstores and sales reps. That takes a lot of time, and that's the old-fashioned trade. So publishing is literally getting an ISBN, a copyright page, and putting the book into a format where you can print it. It's all publishing is. Okay, so Mandy, I'm hopefully going to explain it to you here really quick, and everybody else. There are publishers that you can hire in India or Pakistan or the Philippines or wherever who will do that for you for $500 or $1,000. All they're doing is getting your book ready to print, maybe uploading it to KDP or sending you back the files. And that's like buying your car off Craigslist. You go, you give the money, and you're done, right? Most publishers offer a lot more than that. They will take an author through editing, beta reading, really nice layout and design, cover, table of contents, content, maybe indexing, right? Maybe helping you get a forward for your book. So, looking for a book here. So I just randomly picked up a book. See, it's got forward here at the bottom. We helped get a forward for this book. Layout and design is going to be things like a star, right? If the author and the publisher think these extra embellishments are worth it for the book, those kinds of things. That comes under publishing, but not every publisher does those things. So when you're looking for a publisher, is it someone who just takes your words and puts them into a PDF ready to print? Or is it someone that's taking you through the whole process of getting the book ready to publish? Okay. So editing, formatting, proofreading, beta readers, getting a forward, making sure you have a preface, making sure you have front matter, back matter about the author, your bio, table of contents, like I said, all that is to get it ready to publish. And legit publishers will help you with all those steps. So if you see someone out there who says, yeah, I can publish a book for $1,000 or $3,000, you have to be really clear what that means, right? Because there's all these steps that happen that I would call pre-publishing before your book is even ready to publish. Most of that's editing. We recommend 3 rounds of editing to every author, and let either through us or on your own, right? Minimum of 3 rounds. So, and then it's got to go through a couple proofs. And I'm here to tell you, if you've had a book published and there's an error, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. We proof and proof and proof, and the author proofs, and things still get through. And I see it with big publishers and small publishers and self-publishers, and it happens. So just don't feel bad. All right. Then the publishing is pulling the ISBN. And if you self-publish, you're going to pull that ISBN yourself. And it's the number here that's going to be on the copyright page. And it's going to say ISBN, and it's going to be embedded on the barcode, right? So when you pull the ISBN, or your publisher pulls the ISBN and pulls it into the package ready to publish, that's the publishing. Okay. I have had people publish and then take it to like Staples and print. That's publishing to them. All right. Distribution is now who's going to sell the book. Could be Amazon, could be Bookshop, it could be Ingram Spark, could be through a distributor like we have, IPG or Simon & Schuster or Hachette, could be any number of distribution. You could walk into a Barnes & Noble and says, here's my book, please take it. That is you distributing your book, okay? Sometimes it helps to think about it like you've got a brand new mayonnaise that you want to get into Kroger's or the grocery stores or Whole Foods. How do you do that? You can find a distributor to help you. You'll pay fees for that, but that's normal. They'll help you get in. You can go put them all in the back of your car in coolers and walk into every Whole Foods and Kroger's and say, please, here's my mail, please taste it. You can buy end cap space and say, I'm going to buy this space. Let me put my mail here and test it for this weekend. All of that is the distribution process. So where the book gets sold and how it gets sold is distribution. Now, just because you have distribution, so we have distribution, the book is available everywhere. Unless you're doing some marketing for that book, the bookstore doesn't know to buy the book. So that's where marketing comes in, where you have to get the word out and let everybody know the book's available to buy from bookstores or whatever. Does that make sense? Who asked? Was it Mandy? Okay, yeah. Does that help with publishing, distribution, marketing? Okay. The publishing piece, there's so much that happens in pre-publishing that gets forgotten if you don't know what you're doing and you just hire someone in India. I mean, there are legit people in India. I'm not throwing India under the bus, but I find that what happens, a lot of authors come to me and said, I hired a publisher in India and they didn't edit, or they didn't proof, or they didn't pull the ISBN for me, or they didn't, right? Okay, so, all right, resilience of a typo that makes it through 10 rounds of edits. Oh my gosh, Amy, it's so frustrating, right? Yeah. All right, 25 questions to ask your editor. I have something, if you go to gracepointpublishing.com, I have all kinds of free gifts, and one of them is, I think, 25 questions to ask your publisher. It's a free ebook. Go get it. All right, Ingram Spark used to have promos. Did get increase in website views. So from a marketing perspective, if people are coming to your website, you should be able to see how many people come to your website and if they click on the link. If they come to your website and they don't click, there needs to be something happening on that page to ask them to click. So it's not compelling enough, right? Don't take this personally. This is just a numbers game. If you have 100 people come to your website, 10 of them should click and maybe 2 or 3 of them should buy. That's a good rule of thumb for numbers. Okay. So if you have 100 people come to your website and 2 people click on a link, you got to change that page to make it more compelling for people to click. All right. So if you're not seeing a conversion in sales, but you do see a conversion in people coming to your website, that's where the disconnect is. All right. Okay, so let's go back to what GracePoint does with marketing, and then I'm just going to take a breath for the last 10 minutes. GracePoint does what most publishers do. We'll do a press release. We get it out to distribution. We do all the metadata. We do the book cover. We test book covers. We test back cover copy. We make sure it's available in distribution everywhere books are sold. We run Amazon ads when we get enough reviews. We'll work with an author on review tours. We don't post social media for you. If we come across podcasts and those kinds of opportunities, we pass them along for you. We are not a booking agent and we're not a PR company, although we work with PR companies a lot and we'll work with you to help you get podcasts and whatnot. And we'll work with you to help get reviews. And I've got 100 free trainings for our authors. If you want to know exactly how to choose your pen to sign at a bookstore, I have a free training on how to use your pen to sign at a bookstore, right? So we've really niched it down and dialed it down, but I'm not out there posting on social media for you, nor is my team. So we have a team. We have about 20 people, all part-time. Because we have different editors for different genres and so forth. But we have a good team of people, but we're not doing your social for you. We are out there working to get your book visible online and offline best we can. Okay. Deborah, did that help a little? Lou, I have people I can refer you to who will build your website. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you, Deborah. Okay. Amy, you're here from WIP.
Ma'am.
Anything else? Oh, what are the fees? So I always hate this question but you understand now. We started at 3,000 if something is already edited, but we have programs going all the way up with ghostwriting for $100,000, and we've sold a lot of those because ghostwriting is expensive. So I'm not here to sell you something you don't need, but if you'll text me, I'm going to put my number in again. I'll send you the link to book a call with me, and we can just talk about your specific book and what you need and if you have an editor or not. I also have a book. I'll give you a digital copy. It's called Write Your Dang Book. If you're stuck writing, this will get you unstuck. And I have a coupon for my 5-day writing retreat. So just text me. We'll talk. That's the easiest way. Just text me. Tell me how you need support and we'll talk. Mally, Next Gen. Yeah, I know you guys. Yeah, good. All right. Thanks, Amy. What else?
Sure. No, thank you so much for all of that information. That was so informative and interesting. And I definitely like the way that you pulled back the curtain for us and told us exactly what you see happening right now in the industry. It's sometimes so important to know those details, before we make decisions that help us make more informed decisions, right?
Yeah.
And so and Grace Point, sounds like they have a lot to offer. So I hope everybody gets the chance to get in touch with you and book a call and talk through the process with you and what you can provide them. Thank you so much for coming, and we definitely look forward to seeing you at the summit this year. That you'll likely be on a coffee chat or something and be able to share more with anyone who shows up there. And I'm telling people about this webinar so they watch the replay in case they missed it because
Right.
you had a lot to say. So
Huh.
thanks again so much, Michelle, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Love to have you here. Bye.
Bye.